Welcome to Tools, Tech, and Gear. I'm Seth. This is the Ampace P600. It's a 600 watt pure sine wave inverter power station with a lithium ion battery. Let's take a close-up look at all the features and then do some tests to see how well this little power station performs. All right, let's get to it. This power station comes with a user manual. It has a car charging cable, and it also has the AC to DC power brick included. So if we take a look at the front panel here, let me show you all the stuff that's on here. So first of all, it has an LED light panel. It has the display so you can see what's happening. An input, 12 volt, 30 amp. Down here it has a car port. It's a DC. It also has the two barrel plugs down here. There's USB type C, 60 watt. And then they have a USB 1 or USB type A, and then a USB 2 right down here with the blue plug. Has a 600 watt max AC over here. The power button for that is right there. Now this unit does have the option for jump starting a car. That cable is not included. And also you can have an extended battery over here. That is also not included. All right, that's the front panel. If we move to the top, it's got a carrying handle. It's all plastic, but it seems to be screwed in there really well. Turn over here, it's got some cooling ports right there. On the back, it's got a big old 600 and shows you some nice information on the outputs of each of these DC as well. And they got more cooling over here. And if I turn to the bottom, you can see it's got some little rubber feet to help this not slide around. The battery is a lithium ion, which is good because today it is about 28 degrees. And I can still charge this below freezing. So let's go ahead and do that. This power station can be charged in 3 different methods. First, we're going to try out the car charging. So I've got a different power station over here. I'm going to turn on the DC output of this, plug this up here to the input of this power station. And you can see the number starts to blink here on the display. And we'll see what the watt value goes up to here. Looks like about 81 or 82 watts. And it's going to take, looks like 0.6 hours to go from 91% up to 100. The next charging method is to use a 100 watt solar panel. So if I go ahead and plug this up, we should see some input here. I may have to move around the shade a little bit. As you can see, it's charging somewhere between the 70 and 80 watts range. And the last charging method is to use the AC to DC power brick. So let me plug that into the wall real quick. And plug this other end up to the input. And we will see what the display shows here. We have right at 95 watts coming in. You can see the display jumped up to 92%. And 0.4 hours, it should be completely done. Now for some reason, it has turned on the DC side there. All right, maybe it'll go a little bit faster like that. While the Ampace P600 charges from 92% to 100%, I'm gonna go over a couple of specs real quick, and then we will do a discharge test and also just try out the various outputs here on this unit. So it weighs 17.6 pounds. It is 10.3 by 8.7 by 8.4 inches. The battery capacity is 584 watt hours at 15.2 volts. It does have extended battery support. The ambient temperature range for the charging, remember this is a lithium ion, not a lithium iron phosphate, so it's able to charge down to 14 degrees and be used or charged up to 113 degrees. The ambient temperature range for discharging is -4 degrees up to 113 degrees. So with that lithium ion battery, you're able to get a longer or a bigger range of temperature use out of this box. Has a pure sine wave inverter, total 600 watt, surge 1200 watt. It's 110 volt at 60 hertz. Now for the USB type C, it's got a 5, 9, 12, 15, and 20 volt, 3 amp, 60 watt. It's got a USB type 1 is 5 volt or 2.4 amp, 12 watt. And then the fast charger, the blue one or the USB 3 is 18 watt max. a bit on the battery. It's got 1,000 cycles to be 70% capacity. The overload protection, over temperature protection, short circuit, low temperature, high temperature, low voltage, and overcurrent protection. So it should have several things in there. We'll test the overcurrent protection here in a moment using a couple of heaters and see if we can get that to activate. All right, that's the majority of the information that you need to know here in this booklet. We can also go over the display here whenever this is fully charged, and I'll give you some more information on that. Once the battery is fully charged in the power station, the display turns off and everything is kind of dormant. So let me unplug this AC to DC power adapter and let's do a discharge test. So this test is going to have a little heater, and the small setting or the lowest setting on this heater will run this under 600 watts. And so we'll be able to get a timed test for the discharge. So in order to do that, I'm going to pull up my stopwatch. And I can go ahead and plug this little heater up, press the AC on button. There we go, AC is on. The fan ramps up for a moment. And then I'm going to turn this heater on to setting number 1, press my stopwatch here. And let's see what the watts are. We've got about 490 there. There's now 39% capacity left on the battery, 0.4 hours left, and the time here has been 34.5 minutes. Display is showing 6% here. The watts have actually dropped from 490 to 456 or so. So they've dropped some as it's getting close to the end. And we're running at 52 minutes here on the stopwatch. So this thing should kick off here in just a moment. Now at 2%, it has dropped out an additional 100 watts that it was running at before. So 53.5 minutes. Looks like we are about to lose power here. 1% left. All right, our time, 54 minutes. And now it says low and the AC output has turned off. All right, now that we have a time on this unit, let's go ahead and get the math behind it. So if this thing had run at 100% efficiency, we would have had 584 watt hours divided by 490 watts. It would have run for 1.2 hours. Well, it ran for 54 minutes, which is 0.9 hours. So if I say 0.9 hours times the 490 watts, it had a 441 watt hour rating here on the battery. And so now, if we say 441 times 100% divided by the 584, it was running at 75.5% here. I charged up this battery here to 19%. That way we can do a little bit of a test here with some other things. So first of all, I've got this little air compressor. It works off of the car charger here. So let me go ahead and plug that up. Now I do have to press the on button right here. The fan kicks on here. It's got 5 watts right there. So whenever I push this button, we'll see what the watt value jumps up to. 107. So that works just fine right there. Now I've also got a little speaker, so I can turn off that side, but then turn on the Type-C and the regular USB down here. Plug this up. And this is just a USB mini here. All right, and you can see there is a little glowing red light down in there to indicate that this is charging. Now let's see if we can overload this unit. So I've got 2 different heaters. This one right here and this one that we used a moment ago. So let's first plug up this one, turn on the AC, and I'm going to kick this over to maximum. So he's got 620 watts. Let's plug this one up here. And I'm going to crank it up to 1500 watt. There we go. So it just overloaded the circuit and turned everything off. So I should be able to unplug these, push the AC button once, push it again to turn it back on. Fan ramps up. And now, if I turn this back to, let's do setting number 1. There we go. It's back on, running at 498 watts there. All right, so that is working properly. Now the last thing I want to show you here is that this thing has an LED panel on it. So let's go ahead and turn off my studio lights so you can see how bright this light is. It's nice and dark in the studio. Let me go ahead and turn on this real quick. So here is the lowest setting at 2 watts. Next setting here is showing also 2 watts. And then the max setting there is 10. So I don't know, maybe that middle one is something like 5 watts or something. But anyway, shows 2 watts on the display. So yeah, more than enough light to read by or do a little bit of work outside. Now there are also, let's see, strobe setting and also SOS as well. So you can have all of those if you need them. All right, that pretty much sums up all of the testing I'm going to do here. So my personal pros and cons list, I do like that this has an LED panel on the front. The AC outlets seem to work just fine at the 500 watts. It does have the protection if you run too much out of this. It has those 3 different USBs and a USB Type-C. So there's plenty of output here to be able to run your devices. So all of that works out well. Now for my list of cons, it doesn't come with the car jump starter. Would have been nice to have had that in the kit if you're going to have that option here on a power station. The display doesn't have an on or off button. So if you turn on your AC like this right here, and then you want to turn that back on, you have to click one and back on. Anyway, it'd just be nice to have a dedicated button here to turn on the display. If you'd like some more information on the Ampace P600 Power Station, I'll have a link in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Seth with Tools, Tech, and Gear, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.